maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm sure others will join as we go. Welcome. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the Restaurant Possible and how Hawaii's restaurants are pivoting during the COVID pandemic. My name is David Oyatomari of Ecclesia Capital, and been putting on these webinars on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii. So thanks for joining us this afternoon. This webinar will be recorded, and so you can always forward it to your friends and family who couldn't make it live at this time. So I just wanted to introduce, we have another great distinguished panel here of restaurant owners and operators in many ways do not need an introduction, but I'm gonna do so anyway. We thank them for their time. And so let's start off with Kevin Surehero. Kevin is the founder and owner of Nabea Maido. It's a Japanese hot pot restaurant opened in 2013 in Market City Shopping Center in Kamuki. He lived and owned an izakaya in Osaka, Japan, which I think was a lot of the inspiration for what he brought here to us here in Hawaii. Kevin's known for his homemade broths. Sometimes Nabe is not known for broth other than something bland, right? But Kevin makes these very tasty homemade broths and sauces. Born and raised on Oahu, Iolani School graduate, and his latest innovation, which he'll talk with us about today, is his microwavable. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
And then John Matsubara. John is the chef owner of Feast, an island-style refined grinds restaurant in Manoa Valley. Now, Chef John has been named one of the top chefs to watch by Modern Luxury Magazine, created Bloomingdale's first chef-driven restaurant in Ala Moana back in 2016, was the executive chef of Merriman's in Honolulu. He was the chef de cuisine at Japengo, which was a fantastic restaurant. I remember that in Hyatt. He was executive chef at Azure and Stage Restaurant. He was featured at the James Beard House in New York City, on Food Network, Travel Channel, Zagat, and the Today Show. The thing about John is he started as a dishwasher at Alan Wong's and Roy's, and you'll see he has some in common with a couple of our panelists as well there. Chef de partie in restaurant at Jean Georges, Tabla, and Boulé. He was also the chef de cuisine of Canoe House Restaurant at the Manalani Bay Hotel, and a graduate of the French Culinary Institute in New York with distinction. Welcome, John.
Oh, thanks for having me. Aloha.
Aloha. And then Michelle and Wade Uyoka, the namesake of MW Restaurant. Michelle was born and raised in Honolulu, a Punahou graduate. Passion for cooking ignited after she did an externship at Alan Wong's. She also attended Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, completed a stage at Daniel and French Laundry, completed a stage at Thomas Keller's Per Se, received the Rising Star Chef Award in 2012 from starchef.com, nominated as the Outstanding Pastry Chef by the James Beard Foundation in 2014. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you for having us.
And Wade, born and raised in Honolulu, Mid-Pacific Institute graduate. His first job was a fry cook at Zippy's. Prep cook, then was chef de cuisine at Alan Wong's. He has a culinary degree from Kapilani Community College. He completed a stage at the French Laundry and Alex in Las Vegas. He was driven by his Asian delicacies as he grew up watching his mother cook. And for those of you who know Wade's cooking, that is definitely true. He was also one of the featured chefs in Hawaiian Airlines Featured Chef Series in 2016. Welcome, Wade.
Thank you, David.
And both of them, MW was opened in October 2013, nominated by the James Beard Foundation for the Best New Restaurant in 2014, and opened Trailblazer Tavern in San Francisco with the Mina Group and Salesforce in 2018. So before we get started with the panelists, I just wanted to set the stage here. By the numbers, this is 2019 data. We had 3,665 eating and drinking places in the state of Hawaii, and which created and was responsible for close to 100,000 jobs in our state. For every $1 that was spent, there was a multiplier effect of $1.53 to $1.82 that was circulated in our economy because of our eating and drinking establishments. The other things that the numbers don't show us, though, is that our local restaurants are also stewards of our local culture. And so we're happy to have all of the local owner operators here on our panel this afternoon. As we know, and just in general, the trends in the industry from the McKinsey & Company, restaurants in densely populated states had experienced the highest traffic declines. Hawaii was number 2. So when this study was done comparing April, right at the onset of COVID and the shutdowns compared to February, Hawaii saw a 59% decline. So as a state, we've been hit pretty hard. We've also seen by the same study has shown that the type of restaurants also were disproportionately affected. Fine dining restaurants lost 75 to 85% of their income, as you can imagine. When you get to the quick service segment or the pizza takeout, they less so. In fact, they've kind of almost came back to levels beforehand. So what mattered most was the amount of takeout and delivery that was part of a restaurant's business, the level of maturity of their e-commerce offerings, and to the extent that restaurants were located in tourist locations, obviously are hit much harder, especially here in Hawaii, and to the extent that the business came from workday lunch orders. And that shouldn't be a surprise to us. So as we talk about innovation, as we think about for businesses, not just restaurants in general, but this is some of the things we took away from last Monday from the panel 1. We had Chef Roy, we had Chef Jeremy, and we have Mark Nezu from Highs. And this is some of the takeaways I wanted to reiterate. This is also posted as a webinar you can watch as well. But one of the interesting things Chef Roy had said is he started to pivot and appeal to residential neighborhoods and really get comfort food and promote his comfort food. He talked about doubling down on social media, which I know a lot of my clients are doing right now. And he talked about, the $20 for 20 ribs, his Szechuan ribs, and how that created quite a buzz. Then we had Chef Jeremy Shigekane. He was doing something pretty fascinating. He was rebranding and repositioning to attract new customer segments. So Chef Mavro as a brand is known for fine dining, multi-course meals. You got to go there. Well, he started to create a sub-brand called M by Chef Mavro and M Bistro and Brasserie. And what that was to do is target the takeout segment, slightly lower price point, but same good quality food. And then what Mark Nezu talked about in Highs was, how do you take that experience of the Highs brand, right? When you close your eyes, I was telling Mark that what I think about when I see Highs is the tuxedo and the black tuxedo. And so how does he translate that brand experience? And what they were doing was extending the different product lines that they have with that same level of quality and experience that they're known for. And that was the driver behind and the impetus behind the Highs Butcher Shop and then the Highs Catering. And so that's what he was able to do, is start to, and they still do this, translate some of that experience there. So common themes across the industry included unbundling the experience, right? So the menu, the order, the presentation, the dining and pay now is all different, is unbundled. And what restaurant owners and operators are doing is looking to innovate in each of those areas. Maybe make it digital. Meal kits are big. Order ahead and takeout, curbside, pickup, delivery are big. You're going to hear some of that from our panelists here today. E-commerce, social media, new dine-in layouts, outdoors are important from a safety perspective, giving people the confidence that it is safe to dine with you. Weekly menu specials, you'll hear some of that today as well. Leading with value price points, comfort food, offering in some cases high quality groceries for people who like that convenience and want to get the higher quality and bundling products together. And then of course, repricing items and promoting the wow factor. So that's really in a nutshell, some of the different things that we've been hearing, and we're going to hear a lot more today. So please again, put any of your questions in the Q&A channel, but let's get started with our panelists because you want to hear more from them than from me. So we'll start with Michelle and Wade. So, let's dial back to COVID when the restaurants were shut down. And how shocking that was for, I think, a lot of restaurants, no doubt you folks. And so you're kind of faced with this sort of fight or flight mentality. And you guys really chose, obviously, the fight. So could you take us through that? Like what did you guys go through? What process did you go through for the fight? in your journey?
I think right when this whole shutdown thing happened, we were forced to make a decision whether we close or try and stay open. And so we had talked to our staff and we asked them, what do you guys want to do? You guys um, you guys want to fight, or you want to, we can close down. And so we started with the managers, and they pretty much all chose to stick in there and make the decision to fight with us, and because of that, we wanted to fight for them, and so we immediately changed our whole dynamics and went to takeout. Um, and so we started with a small menu, and then kind of we also decided to do market items where we bring in a lot of specialty items as far as and as well as farm fresh farmed ingredients all the time, and we wanted to make that available to our guests or our clientele, and so that we could still help promote the farmers or help the farmers out still, and not have to dial down any of our order or our regular orders. So we still continue the relationships with like Mao Farms, Whole Farms, um, Twinbridge, and we kept that relationship alive through all this. And pretty much we're able to make it so that we didn't have to cut any orders. In fact, we almost increased some of our orders, which is nice. And so we wanted to still promote what we still do, but make it into a takeout, format. Um,
Yeah.
So what I think was really interesting that so we actually closed the restaurant for dine-in maybe 4 or 5 days before the state actually shut down our restaurants for dine-in, and we chose to do it a little earlier. And part of it was for the safety of our staff as well as the families and our guests, and that was the most important thing to us. And so by opening for takeout, a lot of the menu, as Wade said, was driven by our local farmers, our ranchers, and our businesses, because we felt the only way we're going to get through COVID is that we are all stronger together. So it's about supporting the local businesses, especially when the hotels started to shut down and some other restaurants started to shut down. A lot of the farmers and businesses came to us and were like, what are we going to do with all this product? So that's when, Wade also had always wanted to do a marketplace, because that was driven by when he used to work at the farmers market and showcase all the beautiful products. And that way we're still able to buy from the farmers, also featured in a marketplace where they can buy it as is or as banchans or save it for later, where they can heat up at home these specialty dishes, and at the same time still help everyone in Hawaii out.
Nice. And how's it been going with the marketplace and the takeout pivot? Because you guys are still shut down, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dine-in.
I think
How's it been going?
we've been fortunate enough to be have great support from the community, and we've been surviving per se.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we've learned through this takeout, and it's kind of ironic because when we were open for dine-in, we had our signature dishes. But the one thing actually during takeout is we never really we kept some things that were on the MW dine-in menu, but we actually kind of changed it. And we wanted to bring the check average a little bit down and make more comfort foods, make things a little bit different, because at this time it was important for us to feed the community and then bring some of the nostalgic and comfort foods back that we used to grow up on and tell a story that way through takeout. And I think what we've learned is every 3 days at the beginning of, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we would do one menu that kind of featured a different farm or a business of Hawaii or a ranch and an ingredient, and that was driven on those 3 days menus. So it helped support them as well as gave them kind of a little bit marketing So if people went to the grocery store or wherever and saw like Whole Farms tomatoes, they could buy it from there as well. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we would do a different theme. And it was kind of fun because our staff got excited because every 3 days they're learning a whole new menu.
That's
And it
true,
was
yeah.
great menu development and research for us during that time to just try different things, see what worked, see what didn't work, see what appealed to people, and then kind of do that way. And we're grateful because we couldn't have done it without the open-mindedness of our staff and the willing to just change with the flow. And it's due to them and of course all the support from all of our guests who come and support us.
Nice. So you guys still do that today? You still have like these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday separate menus, and it's been
Yes.
going well. Very creative. Awesome. Awesome. And supporting the farmers and some of the nostalgia. I love it. That's great. Thanks, you guys. So let me switch a little bit to John. So John, I know we had talked about, as you started thinking your pivots, right? And, how do you get inspired, John, around where you get ideas for your pivot and what some things you need to do? What are some things you do?
Well, social media is a great vehicle, following industry leaders. I mean, you can see things in real time. You can sort of create, you can see what's happening and you can sort of create your own um, sort of strategy about it. Right? It's like navigating through the unknown. But for instance, if you're learning what's happening in Hong Kong when they're reopening before America, you can kind of see what's happening, what works, what doesn't work, and take that information and process it and use it. I mean, every restaurant is different, so everyone has to sort of take the information and sort of customize it to their operation. But there was a lot of things to absorb. We, unfortunately, before the shutdown, we were shut down already from the city and county was working on pipes and they cracked the pipes under our restaurants. So we were shut down like almost a month before that. So we were, we were trying to do whatever we could to survive, knowing what was coming up, and it allowed us to at least do some research and see what was going on. And because no one knew at the time what was going on, you have to sort of formulate an educated guess and hearing what everyone says and sort of customizing it to your business operation.
So could you give us an example? That's interesting. So let's go back to like the Hong Kong. You were observing social media, blogs, things that were happening where COVID was moving quicker, I guess, right? The response was quicker. What is an example of some things that you learned from reading those things translate to your business?
What I think the most interesting thing that I observed was that when they reopened, the restaurant experience was completely different. They had to, and this was months ago, where you had to take the temperature and log in all your information, wear your masks, and with the 50% social distancing. So, everyone was so excited to go back to the restaurants and the bars. And when they went, it was I think the quote unquote was a weird feeling. And they described how it was and how it felt down. So what I took away from that was that, a full restaurant and a full bar has a lot of energy, and that creates part of the experience along with the food and the service or whatnot. But without that energy of having, full capacity, or at least 3/4 of it, that it would be very difficult to recreate that experience. So ahead of time, we could sort of anticipate, we're not, we weren't a sit-down restaurant per se, but we did allow, customers to eat in there, and we did have catering and, high-end wine dinners or whatnot. But that, for me, right away, translated to me that, this is going to be a very long time before we reopen. So it sort of made us focus on takeout, and it sort of forced us to work and think about things that what we could do and what we couldn't do. And then, just based on the timeline of the COVID and the longer it took to, to get out of the first phase, the rebuilding stage just seemed very long and difficult. So, those are like little things that I could see and sort of imagine how it would transpire in Hawaii for us. I mean, because some of the things are like, human truths or universal where, I think overall a restaurant has a lot more energy if it's full than if it's half empty. And so those are like small things that I noticed and, that were very helpful for us.
And what about your menu, John? Like, so when I listen to Michelle and Wade, their menu, right? Like now they got two menus, basically they're running weekly. How's your menu changed as a result of this pivot?
Well, originally in our, originally when we were shut down before the shutdown, the first thing I did was we consolidated our menu, consolidate the menu, do one shift with the labor. We had to do all these things to make sure that this is before PPP came out and all that. We had to sort of, basically change our business model. And our menu went from being very small, like we wanted to do our greatest hits or whatever. So we don't want to overextend ourselves and just see what the repercussion, see what the results were going to be. And then slowly we started to expand on, we tried to create dishes that would bring people in. We wanted to, for us in Manoa, it's kind of out of the way for a lot of people because we're not central and there's no parking. So we were trying to come up with dishes that would attract people to make it worth the drive to come in. And when they did come in, like our community was very supportive, we had a lot of loyal regulars that, they wanted to, get grocery bags, very simple things they would ask. We started it originally with my parents and the old kupuna because they just needed essentials. And so we were already ordering these local products anyway from our vendors. So we just started to, it was interesting because I remember some of the vendors were kind of shut down and, it was hard to get some of the ingredients for a while because, the vendors, they, cut their staff, they cut their labor, they cut their delivery days. So, we wanted to able to sustain and help the local farmers and help our community and do all these things. So our menu started expanding, providing, like what I call the hibernation menu where people could take things. It wanted to make it like a one-stop shop. I think most restaurants did that where you would come in, you could buy like groceries or you could buy, fresh fish from the local fishermen, we buy beef if they wanted to. I've seen other places provide like even like toilet paper or whatnot when that craze was going on. But, we wanted to make it where if you're going to come out and expose yourself, you could pick up something to eat right away, pick up something to eat later on, pick up some groceries so you're not exposed in the public, and have all these essentials just to survive because nobody knew at that time what was going on. So our menu started to grow slowly and then, now we're back to sort of a normal, base menu with running specials.
Okay, interesting. So that's a theme like both of you so far have done sort of that marketplace concept, hibernation concept, I guess, right? Which is like that frozen kind of eat later stuff. That's interesting. I want to switch to Kevin. And Kevin, hot pot restaurant is in some ways the quintessential dine-in, right? Like, I mean, you got a hot pot. So tell us what happened, when you had to shut down and you're still shut down, right?
For dining, yeah.
And so what was the pivot? And then what are these microwavables or, what's been happening at Nabia Maida?
So basically, if you've ever been to our restaurant, we do it not like the other places. We have it where you get your broth and you go and you pick everything out of the refrigerator. And basically it's like a buffet thing where you can just go and grab. So that was like no good. So when we shut down, basically sales just went way down. I mean, it's like we couldn't do anything because people weren't eating hot pot. So with the help of friends and everything, we got our we actually made an online thing, online site, and then we came up with these hot bowls. So basic bowls that are hot, ready to eat, for like a single serving. That went a little bit. It was okay. Then we started with the help of my friends. We started a subscription model, and we made these sets that people could take home and enjoy the nabe at home. And that was okay, but not enough to keep us really going. And then you know, one of my friends called me up and he said, "Hey, I got something over here. Let's check this out." And we went and looked at it, and we broke it down, and we came up with this idea of doing a microwavable bowl. And called up my friends in Japan to help me out. And we came up with this bowl where it's nabe, but the bowl is refrigeratable, and you throw it into the microwave, you just heat and eat like 4 minutes, and then you have a hot, fresh bowl of our nabe. And that's actually been picking up a lot, and that's actually been boosting our presence, our visibility, and everything. Also, a lot of people on social media, the microwave bowls are the ones that are popping up the most right now. Everybody's posting about those bowls, and we've been actually reaching out to hospitals, schools, and yeah, I mean, it's something that if anything's going to bring us out of this pandemic, it'll be the microwave bowls.
So basically, you were targeting like convenience, right? It sounds like that was the basic need, right?
Yeah, it's so funny how when we had the hot individual bowls, and I was like, oh, this is a game changer. People are gonna come in, instead of ramen, you can have a hot bowl of nabe. And when we made it, and it didn't sell as well as I thought it would. And then we have stamp cards, right? And the stamp cards weren't coming back in. And then when we did the microwavables with the added convenience to it, man, you got all these cards coming back in for people getting stamps, because now they're buying it for the kids who are online. They're buying it for their aunties and their uncles and their grandmas who basically don't go out. So they just go and they buy like 4 or 5 of them, take it over there, tell, hey, grandma, throw it in the refrigerator. And when you're hungry, just pop it out and throw it in the microwave for 4 minutes. So it's really easy, convenient, healthy. And it's reaching a lot of people that normally we would never have reached. The market, I see, as far as for us moving forward, this is something that that I think that we have to concentrate on, because the dine-in, for us personally, we don't have the flexibility to really change our menu and make things like how the other chefs can. For us, it's just the broth and then the ingredients. So yeah, the microwave bowls is big game changer.
Yeah, that's really interesting. A complete pivot in that regard.
100% dine-in to 100% takeout right now.
Takeout, right? And no buffet refrigerator anymore. That's impressive, Kevin. So I want to switch gears for all of you. Now, I know e-commerce had to always play an important role in what you guys are doing. So I'm curious, and we'll start with Kevin and go backwards. So Kevin, tell us about e-commerce. Like what have you learned so far in e-commerce? Everything from the website to social media. What are some tips that you can share with the audience today around
social media? I was introduced to somebody who's actually helping us out, and it makes a big difference. You ask people to post for you, help us out by just posting stuff about our products, and that reaches a lot of other people. And I found the most important thing is to actually get back when people comment on your feed, and they give you a comment. Just take the time out and go and say, hey, thanks, or say something funny, and just trying to make people know that their post has actually been seen and appreciated. For the online, we're still tweaking the system and everything, but it's a total different thing for us. We've never done it before, and we're still working on making it a little more streamlined. But yeah, with the online, we've been you know, it's a good thing where people like the convenience of ordering online and just coming in and picking it up, or like they'll call us up and say, hey, we're outside, can you just drop it off, and it's paid for already. So that's actually been a real positive for us too.
And on social media, Kevin, what are the big ones for you? Like what are the big social media sites that you find most successful for you?
Well, I don't know how to Twitter. I don't know how to do that. I used to only use Facebook, but actually Instagram has been really positive for. I mean, I know they're connected, and I don't really know too much about as far as like adding money and boosting and things like that. But the people around me do, so they're helping us out that way. And yeah, I mean, Instagram is really big, I think.
Okay. And what % of your sales in general do you think is coming online today?
Through Instagram.
No, just online in general. All your online orders. And...
Online right now is maybe about 25-30%.
Okay.
But I think what the online thing is really important is that I have people walking in saying they saw us on Instagram, and they're interested in what these bowls are, you know, and so they'll buy one and then they'll take it home, they'll enjoy it, they'll come back, they'll buy like 4 or 5 more to pass out to their friends or take to work.
Yeah.
And so that's spreading that way. So and Dave, you know how I've been delivering to the hospitals, and I got guys driving out from Mililani and Eva just to pick up the bowls so they can give it to their parents, their friends. And so it's, I guess, at $10 a pop, it's easy for them to just, pass it out and try and help other people out with it.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, John, I'm interested. How's it going at Feast in terms of your social media and e-commerce? Like what's your story there? And did you guys have an active e-commerce site before all this went down?
Well, we did, but we added online, I think, like everyone else, and it was new for us, and it opened up. It was in the beginning, it was like, whoa, we had to because it wasn't like traditional ordering where you can sort of manage it. It sort of went big, and we had to figure that out. And then we had to also not train our customers, but sort of introduce to them, some new practices, because we're all creatures of habit. And then when there's something new, when it first began, a lot of people weren't used to doing it online because we never had it before. So there'd be a lot of people just showing up, and then we wanted to avoid having a lot of people in the dining room or whatnot, and we wanted to set it up where we could sort of manage it in a better way and sort of introduce it to our customers, and so that we could have a more practical approach to like the takeout. But so we have to go through that process. And
John, sorry, what was happening? I mean, I'm getting that, there was some, you're saying like the people, they had to be almost like taught to do something differently. What was happening?
So, what was happening was everyone was trying to call in.
Okay.
They were trying to call in because they normally, before, they would either call an order or they would sort of email us or whatnot.
Okay.
But when we went online, because we were trying to figure out the restrictions, instead of like, because if you just put something online in the beginning, it was like, hey, if someone wants to order like 100 hamburgers, you could, that's fair game. And, that's nobody, you have to manage it where maybe you pick up 25 per, 15 minutes or half an hour or whatnot, instead of like a few people ordering all these things. And so in order to, from a business perspective, have pars, right? You have to study how much you're selling. You got to figure out what your pars are, so you don't over order or over prep, especially right now. And I was amazed that technology, it wasn't available to sort of tailor what our operation needed. So a lot of people would call, a lot of people would wait in line, and we kind of wanted to evolve that. And so our vision was that, with online, they could just, do the online, come pick it up, have some sort of flow. And then, it would take away transactions, and it would take away contact. And so that was important to us.
Interesting.
And
So,
so,
like,
but
yeah.
a lot of people in the beginning, they, you know, they showed up, and they, you know, or they kept calling, and, you know, it was crazy. Like it just didn't work. You know, if everyone's trying to call, they're either getting a busy signal, or, you know, we didn't have multiple lines at the time or whatnot, and it was something that we had to sort of adjust, and you know, this was the new norm now, because everyone was doing takeout, and we focused on takeout, and so you know, we had to make adjustments.
What were some of the big adjustments you made?
We had to figure out, well, first of all, we got, basically in the beginning, we got stress tests, which means, like, you know, we got flexed a lot, and so we had to sort of figure out how to avoid these situations using the technology, or just you know, because we haven't done it before, and so we were trying to figure out, okay, well, if this is the amount we're going to do in this and how it works, we had to figure out how to tweak it. I wouldn't say there was it just the way we had to sort of manage the orders coming in with the front and the back, and sort of coordinating and having, you know, like, that was all new. Like, you know, we didn't have like curbside where people run out and do that. You have multiple cars coming, and you have to sort of coordinate that. And so, you know, those are just some of the challenges in the beginning that I think every restaurant that hasn't done it before has to sort of learn that. So
yeah, in retail, I think they call that choreography. You know, it's like you gotta have the choreography of, like, okay, so the order came in, and then where does the person go, and how did they flag us down, and then who do you serve first, which car, you know, like all of that. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. And then inventory, you know, oh, we got to order for 100 hamburgers, we only got stuff for like 50, you know, stuff like that, right? I got it. Okay. It's very cool. And then Michelle and Wade, so online ordering for you guys, what's your story or journey on how that's been going, and what did you learn so far?
Yeah, we recently, only maybe about a month ago, committed to the online program. And
was it all phone call, and what was it before? How did the orders come in?
Email and phone calls, and, you know, our managers were going nuts, because, you know, there are some days that they're answering 100 emails.
Whew.
And you know, and the phone's ringing all day long, and, you know, so now that we have the online, it's helped them a great deal. You know, I would say they reduced the phone calls quite significantly, and I think more and more people are now getting used to ordering through our online system.
It's growing.
And, yeah. Oh yeah, and it's ease. It's easy for the customer, I think, as long as they know how to, you know, like for us, you know, we're not good with our phones or, you know, computers and whatnot, so, you know, we don't do too much of the Twitter and Instagram stuff ourselves, but you know, but for the people out there, you know, they're a lot better at it than we are.
And I think what made it so easy for the online system is people can order at any time of the day. You know, if it's midnight, they would have to email the restaurant, and then they would have to wait till the next morning to get the order confirmed and the credit card processed and everything. So online also provided someone the opportunity to order any time of the day or night, which was good for them. And then, of course, you know, we're in the hospitality business, and so it's about making people happy. And whether it's online or answering a phone or an email, we'll take orders any of those ways. It's not just online, or it's not just the phone or email, because for us it's about providing a guest a service, and that to me is very important, is to be able to help and provide a service to people to make their lives easier, especially during this time. Like my mom, it's so funny because she's like, I'm never going to order online. I'm like, okay, you don't have to, Mom. She's like, no, I don't want to. I want to hear someone's voice on the other side of the phone. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine. And she goes, but maybe I'll text you. I'm like, okay, to your order.
Step in the right
yeah. And with social media, I mean, we are very blessed. We have a girl who does our social media, and she helps keep us up to date in the sense of taking pictures. Because for the two of us, we sometimes get so busy in the kitchen that we forget to take pictures of food. And sometimes people are like, "Oh, did you take a picture of the dessert today?" I'm like, no, but maybe someone might post it, or we'll call Moana and then she can come and take pictures for us. But I mean, she's
Interesting.
really helped us a lot. And I think a lot about with social media is what people see on Instagram. Like sometimes if she posts a certain dish, we'll notice that day, depends what time she posts, that dish will be very popular. So if she posts a picture of a daily special, will probably sell out that one day. And so I think
Interesting.
it's top of mind awareness for a lot of people. They're like, oh, that looks good, let's have it, versus just looking at a menu.
Totally, totally. That makes total sense. Yeah. I think that's why, like, when you go to Japan, they have the kapabashi, the plastic meal thing. You look at it, you're like, oh, I want that one. I want that one. Yeah. I got hooked into that once. I got kaki udon, and I was just like, I don't even eat oysters. But yeah. Did you folks run into the same choreography challenges John was talking about around, like pickup, order, timing, who's running out to the car? I mean, because it's not like anybody had a prepared, curbside.
What's funny is, from the time we've opened the restaurant, our biggest battle has been parking. Our biggest battle has been, the parking lot situation. We had to do valet, and then we, then self-park, and through this takeout time, our parking situation has been our biggest asset, I think, because it's so easy for guests to pull up to the restaurant. We can, we have the open windows that we see what car they're driving, and then they're able to run out to the car and deliver the food. And so, we're pretty fortunate for doing the takeout program because of that situation that we kind of grew into. So.
Right. Okay.
We kind of lucked out with how our restaurant design and the parking lot situation. So
it's almost better now in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it actually is.
But I understand what John was talking about in the sense of the online. You may get an order for 100 hamburgers, but you may only have 50.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things with our online system that we made sure was that we could set maximums per day of
Or
how
even
many
time slot.
and how many to sell and time slots. So it can only take so many orders at 11 o'clock, 11:30. And so it's all choreographed throughout the day. And then it's all managed, and our staff knows like what the upcoming tickets are, what kind of car, make, model, and everything. So they just run the food out. So it's been a good learning process for us, but it's been efficient.
Right. And so now, online portion, about what % of your orders you would say roughly is coming online?
I'd say about 80%, maybe.
80?
80%.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
I mean, we still get a lot of phone calls, but most of it is put through the online system now.
Wow. Okay. And then John, I never asked you, what is your mix now? What online counts for how many of your orders?
A lot. Probably, I mean, well, because it's
like 80%, lot, kind of like more than calls.
It's kind of, yeah, I would say around there. Just because it's so streamlined. Like, our dining room will be empty, and then we'll be just as busy or busier than when it was full. So it just eliminates a lot of the things that was more traditional in the past. And it's amazing what technology can do. So we embrace that. And we're still learning.
Yeah, everybody is. What is some, like, so we'll go around again, like what's some, Kevin, what is a piece of advice or lesson learned, whatever, that you'd want to share with people in the audience, whether it's restaurant owner, operator, business owner, what's something you want to impart to them from this process that you've gone through?
For me, it's this whole thing has shown, I've learned how many people like actually appreciated our restaurant, and I've found out that if you take care of all the regulars, they're the best they're the best media you can get. I mean, I've been talking to it because I've been in the front now and passing them out, explaining how to eat the bowls and how to heat them up. Just the communication I've been having with the community, like all the guys walking in, and then you have all these aunties walking in, and they're all saying, "Oh, I told my friends, I told my friends," and I think for me, the online, yeah, I learned the online is big, but also to reconnect. And for me, that's why I like the restaurant industry, is because you get the interaction with the customers. And my thing is just make sure that the customers are happy, and if they love you, they're gonna support you by telling everybody about, telling your friends, hey, go help them out, try
Right.
this out. And that's what I learned, is like
The relationship, yeah.
not to just just go about the numbers, but don't forget about the people that you're actually trying to make happy.
Mm.
That's for me.
How about you, John?
I think what I learned was, some of the culture we tried to build was to be fearless. Fearless is the mother of reinvention, right? So when you have to reinvent your business concept, or reinvent your company, or reinvent your restaurant, sometimes it was day to day, sometimes it was every week. Like one day your restaurant is dine-in, the next thing you're doing takeout, like or curbside. Like you just have to be willing to try and don't give up, and reinvent yourself. Don't be afraid. But that's one thing I think it was important to have that persistence and commitment.
Awesome. I mean, that's why all of you three are here. Four of you are here. You guys are all of that, fearless, right? Go get it. Michelle and Wade, what about you guys?
I think it's exactly what John said. You gotta fight. Give it your best shot. Try and do your best and adjust to kind of what the times are, and try to, I guess, stay ahead of the game versus falling behind, and try to think of what's next and what's new, and what do we have to do to stay afloat and keep fighting. We had a staff that wanted to fight with us, so we're lucky, and
Awesome.
but we kind of do it for them.
Awesome.
I think it's also about take a negative and make it into a positive. And the only way that we're going to get through this is by everyone supporting each other, because we are going to be stronger together as a whole state, and that's what's going to make Hawaii more sustainable. So for us, it's about supporting everyone else, and we feel really grateful for the people who support us and everyone else in Hawaii. And at the same time, it's about being resilient and then evolving. Life is about evolution, and I think through evolving and changing, it's going to be stressful at times, but that's how you grow and you become better. And that's how I kind of view this COVID is, okay, what are we going to take away that's positive out of this and change it for the future? Because we can't change the past, but we can create a new future.
That's great. Kevin, you had something?
Hey, but-
Yep.
Yeah. So, and one thing I forgot to say was what I learned about this too is that what you think about being the best way, like for me, I was doing my things my way, and when it came time for us to change, Dave, how we had the group of all different owners, and I found out that basically your way is sometimes not the best way, but to have people around you who think from different angles, and who can see the restaurant or see the business from a different angle, they will have different ideas sometimes from some advice. And what I've learned through this especially is that the more people around you who actually care about you and give you advice, all that advice is positive, and you just try and filter out what will work, and always keep an open mind as far as there might be a better way to do this. There might be, and if it wasn't for the guys who are around me helping us out, giving us ideas, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. We would have been gone 3 or 4 months ago. But it's because of the advice and all the ideas that people just threw out there, and just picked up some of those ideas that I liked and ran with it, and that's how we're here. So just not to just
That's a good point, Kevin. I mean, like one of the themes I hear from all of you is, have this inner circle, right, of people like that you can bounce ideas off and, say like, are we in this? We in this together, right? You got my back. We're going to fight, we're going to come up with new things. We're collaborating together. I heard Michelle say that a couple of times too. And I think that's important. I think for all of us, know that as a business owner, it's sometimes lonely. And so having that inner circle of people that you can lean on, who got your back, who can, help you come up with ideas and do stuff is really critical, which is I heard from all of you. We have some time for questions. Already I see a question from Lisa. And Lisa, whoever wants to take this one, and she says, what is your experience with DoorDash, or I would guess food delivery in general? Is it worth the investment? She has an ice cream shop and has resisted DoorDash in particular, but I would say any food delivery, because we can't guarantee our products will be delivered before melting. So anybody want to take that? I guess she's asking about the quality and the cost of, can she ensure the quality of the delivery and the cost of that service? Who wants to take that one? Go ahead, Kev.
Kevin.
Go, Kevin.
DoorDash.
He's like, I'm raising my hand.
Especially DoorDash. So we actually use DoorDash, Bite Squad, and Uber Eats, and I ripped them all out. The money that we were making from that wasn't really as much as I thought it would be. And they all tend to order the same time when the people want their things. And also, of the three, DoorDash is probably the ghettoest. Actually, you can see this. Yeah, that's not good. They're the most unprofessional as far as people coming in. Some of them look homeless, and I wouldn't want somebody delivering that to my house, knocking on the door and looking at it and like, I don't want to open the door.
Quality issue. Yeah.
And then as far as the time wise, they never come on time. There's sometimes they come early, and then sometimes they come, and for us, when we were making the hot bowls, they come like 30 minutes and the bowl is not hot already. And so, I'm like, so what we did was we just put the time that it went out, that we had it ready for them, that they said that they'd be there. And they're very unprofessional at that side.
So you had a bad experience, obviously. What's that?
Oh, and I canceled our account, and they're still calling me up to place orders. So it's.
Is the rest of your experience positive or neutral? I mean, with any of the delivery companies?
Well, for us, we actually have never used any of those companies. A lot of it was when we decided to do takeout, we wanted to keep as many of our employees staffed as possible. So what we did is we had them deliver the food. If we got an order for takeout and they wanted it delivered, we used them to deliver it.
Makes
so
sense.
We kind of kept everything in-house.
Okay. John, do you guys use any of the services?
We use one. We use Bite Squad, and I think we tried that out because of the millennials, and that was a different market. Bite Squad seems to be okay. They all have a uniform. There's like a 30% markup, but we just transfer it on the menu, so we don't lose money by doing it. And they're usually earlier than later. And it's a percentage every month that's we get. So I would say maybe it's very small, like 10 or 20%, 10 or 15%. But there is, they order the produce bags on there and everything. Wow. So yeah, I mean, I think people in quarantine were using it. They were like, hey, we really want X, Y, and Z, but we can't get out. So they use that. But I would think about, if you're an ice cream shop, you might want to think about your brand. And, I don't know if every delivery company can deliver it the way it's supposed to. And that's something to consider, especially, you don't want to melted ice cream, right? So it should be, you should feel confident that if it's being delivered, or reassured at least that it should be delivered the way it's supposed to be.
John, you should call up Bite Squad again.
Here's a big question, you guys. And this one, I don't know if we have enough time to deal with this, but have your landlords been helping you, as someone has asked? So
Yes.
maybe you don't, yeah, you don't have to get to the details, obviously, but just generally they've been
Yes.
helpful. Okay, good,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
I think generally the landlord, when we discuss this, and I think a lot of landlords are like this, it's like, hey, everyone's willing to work with each other. I mean, reasonably, right? Everyone's
Right.
willing to work with each other because, I mean, it's going to be harder to fill in another tenant,
Yeah,
right? And
right.
so, and you have
Right.
a relationship with your landlord, so a lot of them are willing to work with, the tenants. But yeah, ours,
Right.
we have a very good landlord.
I think we've seen a spectrum, right? I mean, landlords are very different, and it's nice to hear that some of them are working with you. And but I think there's a whole spectrum. So okay, I mean, we have a few more minutes, so I would say maybe like one party. What's next? So can you just describe real quickly what's next for you now as we go forward stronger in your business? So why don't we start with Michelle and Wade? What's next for MW?
For us, unfortunately, we don't look to open for dine-in service, but we're going to continue to do takeout throughout the end of the year, and
Okay.
hopefully things turn around that we can one day, and we'd love for that to happen, because we're missing our guests in the dining room, but unfortunately, due to the whole situation, it makes it difficult, and it's difficult for us to make it worthwhile to be open for a dine-in scenario. So
Yeah, I get that.
so
Okay.
for us, but
And
there's
and I think what we're excited about is the holidays are coming up,
Mm.
and what we're seeing is people are celebrating differently this year. Instead of Christmas parties, they're having virtual Christmas parties through Zoom, but picking up from a restaurant and
Cool.
those kind of things. So it's kind of interesting to see what people are doing. And so we're going to kind of do that throughout the holidays, do things that are different that we would probably never do had we pre-COVID. And then we look forward to 2021 and what it has to bring. And we just want everyone to stay happy and healthy, and we're going to get through this.
For sure. Thanks. Kevin, what's next for you?
For us, basically, well, we just started the Pay It Forward program, right? We're working on. I think reaching out to the hospitals more, trying to work out with the hospitals to provide the hot and fresh meals to the nurses or all the staff.
Aloha. Unfortunately, this is where our restaurant webinar panel gets cut off. So I wanted to just quickly summarize for you some of the key takeaways from what we had heard from our panelists, Michelle and Wade Oyoka from MW, John Matsubara from Feast, and Kevin Surehero from Navia Maido. One of the things they said is during the pandemic, in their pivot, it was important to take care of your regulars and engage more into the community, reaching out to support each other, looking for comfort foods, as I think Michelle talked about, and really freshening up your menu to appeal to your regulars. Other things that were brought up was to be fearless, to reinvent yourself. That's something John made a really strong point about. And to keep positive and to be open to adjusting your business. We talked about as well, Kevin Surehero talked about having a small circle of advisors who can help you look at things from different angles. In this time of crisis, you're not alone. And therefore, take the time with your inner circle to bounce ideas off of them and to really humbly receive the different perspectives that people have who care about you. We also talked about the importance of what we would call choreography as you do curbside takeout, delivery. These things are not well orchestrated usually in the beginning. Please take the time to think through what it looks like from ordering all the way through paying and picking up your food, and how all that is going to flow and work with your customers in this new environment. And finally, among the many other things they talked about, though, is the importance of social media. And I think a couple of our panelists had mentioned specifically, especially MW, that whenever they had really good pictures, meaning great digital content posted through their Instagram accounts and other social media accounts, they saw a marked increase in sales. So I want to thank our panelists. Sorry we got cut off early, but I want to thank our panelists, Michelle and Wade Oyoka, folks who just love Hawaii so much and are giving back, and with their team, they're just fighting through it. Thank you from MW Restaurant for being there. I want to also thank John Matsubara for his innovative thinking, how he looks at Hong Kong and places in Asia like Korea and reads food blogs to try to get a glimpse of what innovation looks like and how he could apply it to his business here in Hawaii. And to Kevin Surehero, who has the brave and boldness about him to be able to go out there and really try a brand new product, single serve nabe in his Microwavables. And whereas otherwise he would have pretty much shut down his restaurant, he told us. So thank you, panelists. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you, participants, for watching. And aloha, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing all your great pivots in the